Hey guys, welcome to Host No More. So in today's recording, we will be talking about keeping a healthy mind amidst corruption and taking a closer look into karma. So from now on, I will be changing my live streams into recordings because my live streams are not working well due to technical difficulties. My computer is not working well as well. It freezes a lot and there is a lot of lagging issues where the resolution is not good as well. So because the live stream is not working well, I think I'll be changing it from now on. I'll be changing my live streams every Wednesday and Friday into recordings. So I will still be delivering the same 2 videos on these 2 days, but then on Fridays it will be exclusive. It will be exclusive on Patreon, exclusive to my patrons at Patreon. If you want to check that out, you can click the link on the description below in my Patreon page. We have giveaway contests, we have ebooks, we have exclusive videos and counseling sessions as well, counseling packages. So please avail yourself of that. So let's get right into it. So firstly, I want to cover the clear distinction between a healthy mindset and a toxic mindset. Some examples of a toxic mindset is being consumed by anger and desperately seeking revenge, which is an ego-based reaction, hopelessness or helplessness. And lastly, we have bitterness, which is the why me narrative. Why are they so evil? There is no good in the world and life is meaningless. So these are the negative states of mind or the low energy vibrations. So now we are going to take a look at some of the healthy mindsets that correspond to each of these 3 toxic mentality. Number 1 is impersonal sympathy, which is a reflection of the enraged and vengeful mindset. This is based on the belief that evil is in pain or in delusion, that anyone who is evil is suffering deeply, whether they know it or not, whether they accept it or not. Another healthy mindset to counter rage and the need for revenge is the understanding that our actions affect us directly. The narcissists lose their peace of mind each time they decide to destroy someone else or harm them, each time they decide to ruin another person's life. They lose trust in others, they lose self-control and their own dignity. They lose their true human value. They lose their ability to contribute to and care for their own people. They lose a chance at real love and a genuine connection. They lose their heart and soul. To develop this mindset, we need to remind ourselves that by being abused, we didn't lose anything of value. The abuser stands to lose more than the victim. The victim can choose to recover from the abuse and move on. But for the abuser, it will be much harder, close to impossible, to recover what they have sacrificed in order to watch you suffer, to recover from the great desolation that they have trapped themselves in. Their actions leave a mark on them, more than it does on anyone else. Our actions affect ourselves the most. Another way to allay the unhealthy rage and resentment is to know that it is not personal. Everything they do says nothing about you and everything about them. They would target just about anyone. They are unhappy, bitter, resentful, and wild. They have no values, no principles, and no dignity. They are cowards. They are dirty. They have no boundaries. They are broken. They are pathetic. They are desperate. They are delusional. Some of the healthy practices that can help combat any feelings of hopelessness or helplessness include an exposure to support from a community of survivors, a space to vent, victim to survivor success stories, and counseling or coaching resources. Acknowledging small victories, counting the small blessings, for example, the small breathing spaces that you have, and flipping it around, using adversity to your advantage rather than fighting against it. Making use of the ordeal as a practice to build and perfect your strength in all aspects of life. If things get too bleak, you need to take a break from life and treat yourself. When you start giving yourself more time and attention, you shift your focus and mindset. And with a new perspective, you're able to cast new light on the problem at hand. To deal with bitterness, there are a few healthy approaches that we can take. First, we need to know that we have blind spots. We will never know the full story of anyone's life. We can never see all of their true struggles and the pain they have to deal with. This limited vision makes it seem like we are alone and probably suffering the worst kind of hell there is. But when we start exposing ourselves to the trials and tribulations of others, and we can do this by simply joining a narcissistic abuse support group and reading the many stories and accounts of domestic abuse, workplace abuse, and even child abuse, we see that we are not alone and could even be the fortunate ones. We can also find opportunity in mishap. Use your ordeal to help others who are going through what you have suffered so they don't need to make the same mistakes or get stuck in a toxic mindset. Also know that survivors are leaders. They have rescued themselves, changed their own fate, and redirected their life. They rely on themselves to crawl out of the abuse and its remnants. They pulled themselves out of hell. They healed themselves. They are their own source of happiness, fulfillment, peace, and comfort. They created a new life for themselves. They broke the curse. They are superhuman. Even if you are still enmeshed in a toxic relationship, you have awakened to the disease and are starting to look for treatment. That is a sign of someone starting to take charge of their own life. Acknowledge that. Acknowledge your wisdom, your strength, your grit. This allows you to break out of victimization, which is a low vibrational state of mind. Staying too long in a negative state of mind or low vibrations will slowly drain our life force, our virtues, and our values. And it can lead us to spiral into the bottomless pit of darkness until our hearts and soul become as barren and corrupt as the narcissists. A healthy mindset pulls us out of the narcissist's black hole, heals all the damage afflicted, and resolves any residual trauma. Developing a healthy mindset is more of a weapon against narcissistic abuse and a medicine than merely an optimistic oversimplification of life. So now let's move on to the subject of karma. I want to share this article on cause and effect by tricycle.org. So, karma is a Sanskrit word that means action. The law of karma refers to the law of cause and effect, that every volitional act brings about a certain result. If we act motivated by greed, hatred, or delusion, we are planting the seed of suffering. When our acts are motivated by generosity, love, or wisdom, then we are creating the karmic conditions for abundance and happiness. An analogy from the physical world illustrates this. If we plant an apple seed, the tree that grows will bear apples, not mangoes. And once the apple seed is planted, no amount of manipulation or beseeching or complaining will induce the tree to yield a mango. The only meaningful action that will produce a mango is to plant a mango seed. Karma is just such a law of nature, the law of cause and effect on the psychophysical plane. The Buddha used the term karma specifically referring to volition, the intention or motive behind an action. He said that karma is volition because it is the motivation behind the action that determines the karmic fruit. Inherent in each action in the mind is an energy powerful enough to bring about subsequent results. When we understand that karma is based on volition, we can see the enormous responsibility we have to become conscious of the intentions that precede our actions. If we are unaware of the motives in our mind, when unskillful volitions arise, we may unmindfully act on them and thus create the conditions for future suffering. The law of karma can be understood on two levels, which indicate the vast scope of its implications in our lives. On one level, karma refers to the experience of cause and effect over a period of time. We perform an action and some time later, we begin to experience its results. We plant a mango seed and many years later we taste the fruit. The other level of understanding karma has to do with the quality of mind in the very moment of action. When we experience a mind state of love, there comes naturally along with it a feeling of openness and love that is its immediate fruit. Similarly, when there are moments of greed or hatred, in addition to whatever future results will come, we also experience the painful energies that arise with those states. Our direct awareness of how the karmic law is working in each moment can be a strong motivation to develop skillful states of mind that create happiness for us in the moment, as well as produce the fruit of well-being in the future. Another dimension of the law of karma helps in understanding how individual personalities develop. While it is true that there is no enduring entity, no unchanging self that can be called I, it is also quite obvious that each of us is a uniquely changing and recognizable pattern of elements. This comes about because each of us has, in our own way, both consciously and unconsciously, cultivated different mind states. If we cultivate loving kindness, we experience its taste in the moment and at the same time are strengthening it as a force in the mind, making it easier for it to arise again. When we are angry, we experience the suffering of that anger as present karma and are also strengthening that particular pattern of mind. Just as we condition our bodies in different ways through exercise or lack of it, so we also condition our minds. Every mind state, thought, or emotion that we experience repeatedly becomes stronger and more habituated. Who we are as personalities is a collection of all the tendencies of mind that have been developed, the particular energy configurations we have cultivated. We tend not to pay attention to this conditioning factor of our experience, thinking instead that once an experience has passed, it is gone without any residue or result. That would be like dropping a stone in water without creating any ripples. Each mind state that we experience further conditions and strengthens it. When we see how this is happening in our own minds, we begin to get an intuitive sense of something the Buddha spoke of often in his teachings, the conditionality of the 6 realms of existence. These 6 realms are the manifestation of strongly developed patterns of mind. They refer to the different realities we experience from moment to moment, and also to the actual planes of existence in which beings are reborn according to their karma. According to the Buddha's teachings, there are 6 realms or planes of existence: the 4 lower realms of suffering, the realms of the jealous god or the asura, the hungry ghost realm, the hell realm, and the animal realm. These are the 4 lower realms of suffering. Then we have the human realm and the higher planes of the various heaven worlds. The lower realms are conditioned by intense anger, hatred, greed, and delusion. And when we cultivate these states of mind, developing them as a pattern of response to situations, they become a strong force in the mind. Not only do we then experience the present karma of the painful feeling in the moment, but we also create the conditions for possible rebirth in realms of terrible suffering. The human realm is the first of the happy planes of existence. It is said to be the most conducive for developing wisdom and compassion because of its particular mixture of pain and pleasure. In the lower realms, the intensity and degree of suffering is too great for most beings to develop wholesome qualities of mind, while in the higher planes of existence, everything is so blissful that there is little inspiration to practice. It is precisely the combination of pain and pleasure in the human realm that provides the best circumstances for deep understanding and realization. These 6 realms are all karmically created. There is no one who judges, condemns, or elevates us to different realms, just as there is nobody who decides which state of mind we are to experience in each moment. The great inspiration of the Buddha's teaching is that we must each take ultimate responsibility for the quality of our own lives. Given certain volitional actions, certain results will follow. When we understand that our lives are the unfolding of karmic law, that we are the heirs to our own deeds, then there grows in us a deepening sense of responsibility for how we live, the choices we make, and the actions we undertake. People sometimes wonder whether reflecting upon the law of karma will lead to feelings of guilt for past unwholesome actions. Guilt is a manifestation of condemnation or aversion toward oneself, which does not understand the changing transformative quality of mind. It solidifies a sense of self by being non-forgiving. Understanding the law of karma leads us to reflect wisely on the skillfulness or unskillfulness of our actions. In the infinite time of our many births, through all the realms of existence, we have done so many different kinds of actions, wholesome and unwholesome. In view of karmic law, guilt is an inappropriate feeling and a rather useless burden. It simply creates more unwholesome results. Coming to an understanding of karma is the basis for a very straightforward development of the wisdom to know whether our actions will lead to happiness and freedom or to further suffering. When we understand this, it allows us to take responsibility for past actions with an attitude of compassion, appreciating that a particular act may have been unwholesome or harmful, and strongly determining not to repeat it. Guilt is a manifestation of condemnation. Wisdom is an expression of sensitivity and forgiveness. It is said that on the eve of his enlightenment, the Buddha, with the power of his mind, reviewed the births and deaths of countless beings, wandering throughout the cycle of existence in accordance with their karma. His great compassion was awakened when he saw all those beings wanting happiness, striving for happiness, yet performing the very actions that would lead to suffering. When we do not understand the unfolding of karmic law, when we are deluded about the nature of things, then we continually create the conditions for greater suffering for ourselves and for others, even when we are wishing and hoping for peace. The Buddha spoke often about right and wrong view with regard to the effects of one's actions. Right view is the understanding that our actions do bring results, both in the present and in the future, while wrong view denies this cause and effect relationship. Our culture is generally geared to the pursuit of immediate gratification of desires, and this reinforces the view that what we do will not have effects, and there is no karmic result for our actions that will come back to us. But when we step back and take a broader perspective, we begin to understand that we are the heirs of our own motives and deeds, and that our lives do not unfold randomly or haphazardly. It is important to see what our motives and volitions are, and to understand the results they condition. Mindfulness plays a critical role in understanding the unfolding of karma. Two aspects of mindfulness that are particularly relevant to this are clear comprehension and suitability of purpose. Clear comprehension means paying attention to what we are doing, being fully aware of what is actually happening. When we stand up, we know we are standing. When we walk, we know we are walking. Clear comprehension of what we are doing in the moment then allows us to consider the suitability of purpose. This means knowing whether the actions are skillful or unskillful, whether or not they will bring the results that we want. So there are a few important points that we have covered in this article. Firstly, we talked about the analogy of planting seeds and the resulting fruits of our actions. Then we move on to talk about the importance of being aware, becoming aware of the motives and volitions in our minds, and sifting out the unskillful volitions that arise so that we don't act impulsively and suffer the consequences of our actions by creating negative karma for ourselves. After that, we discussed how our actions can affect us directly in the present moment as well as in the future. Then we talked about how our volitions and actions can condition our mind over time, creating a particular pattern of mind or habitual behavior. After that, we talked about the 6 realms of existence and how our state of mind will manifest as our reality. We then touched on the importance of understanding karmic law so that we don't act like animals and do whatever we like for instant gratification, while unknowingly hurting ourselves on a deeper level and creating bad karma that will come back to us. Finally, we took a closer look at mindfulness, which involves observing our motives and actions and determining whether they are skillful or not before deciding whether or how to act on them. So now I want to share an article from crystalvastu.com on the 4 types of karma and soul energy correction. So now let's start. Karma should not be confused with fate. Fate is the notion that man's life is pre-planned for him by some external power, and he has no control over his destiny. Karma, on the other hand, can be corrected. Because man is a conscious being, he can be aware of his karma and thus strive to change the course of events with the help of superior powers. 4 types of karma. Karma is primarily of 4 kinds. Number 1 is sanchita karma, or the sum total karma, or accumulated actions, or the arrows in the quiver. Sanchita karma is the vast store of piled up karma accumulated in the preceding and in all previous births and yet to be resolved. In other words, it is the aggregate sum of yet unseen karmas committed during innumerable previous existences. This is your total cosmic debt. Every moment of your everyday, you are either adding to it or you are reducing this cosmic debt. It is waiting to be fulfilled in your future births. So unless and until the sanchita karma of a soul is zeroed, it keeps on birthing in new physical bodies in order to exhaust its balance sanchita karma. So in other words, sanchita karma is the karma you accumulated from your many past lives. Number 2 is prarabdha karma, which is fructifying karma or actions began, set in motion, or arrows in flight. That portion of sanchita karma destined to influence human life in one or the present incarnation is called prarabdha. In other words, prarabdha karma is karmic template that is ripe enough to be experienced by you and allotted for this lifetime for you to work on. If you work down your agreed upon debt in this lifetime, then more past debts will surface to be worked on, and that much sanchita karma gets dissolved. So guys, I want to take a quick detour here and talk about some issue that I incurred during recording. So I had an issue where I wanted to test my videos by by playing it and testing the voice and testing whether everything is okay, but then it doesn't play because it keeps pausing. Every time I press play, it just keeps on pausing itself. So this is happening so many times now that I had to look for a solution, and there is no proper solution. The only solution that I could find is that they say you should turn off your phone and turn it back on again, and it will just sort itself out. So this doesn't make a lot of sense. It doesn't explain why it happens. It doesn't explain how to properly solve this issue and make sure it doesn't happen again in the future. So this is and it's very bizarre. This is one of the bizarre things. The video pauses on itself. I didn't touch it. It's like the phone has a mind of its own, and sometimes the volume of my phone, it would just turn down and turn up for no reason, and I had to install a volume lock, and I'm not even sure when the app will be hacked next. So my phone is it's not even working properly, and it's happening everywhere. It's not just me. There's forums everywhere that says video pauses again and again in Samsung S5. Fix YouTube and other videos keep pausing in Samsung Galaxy phones. Why does YouTube pause? It still works. How to stop video from automatically pausing when phone is upside down. So many weird technical issues that doesn't have proper explanations. you know. And just this morning my phone keeps swiping up and down on its own. I was like swiping normally, like in a slow speed, but it just swiped all the way down and all the way up. It's very weird, it's very bizarre. It's like my phone is being hacked, or some form of technical weird bizarre thing is happening, you know. The volume, the swiping, and sometimes some weird things would happen with my phone. It's like it has a mind of its own. So, and it's not just me, everyone is, you know, there are a lot of weird issues with people's phones and with technical, you know, with my laptop as well. The other day I was live streaming and it kept freezing, and the internet was full bar, but then the whole Google experience, the whole internet speed was so slow that I couldn't even properly make a live stream. It was really, really weird. You know, there's no proper explanation to it, and there's no guarantee that it will not happen again in the future, because we don't even know what the problem is. You know, this is like some form of weird hacking. This is so insidious and diabolical, because it's like we are being targeted by ghosts. We don't even know who the hacker is. So this is really, really terrible. I just want to put this out there and just, you know, just talk about this and speak out my truth for about 2 minutes. It's been over 2 minutes now, but I just want to put this out there before I continue. So now let's continue with the karma. Number 3 is Kriya Mana Karma, or instant current karma, or being made, or arrows at hand. Kriya Mana Karma is the daily instant karma created in this lifetime, and that we create in our life because of our free actions. It refers to those which are currently in front of us for us to decide or act on. This contributes to our future karma in a big way. They can also be worked off immediately. These are debts that are created and worked off, i.e., for example, you park your vehicle in a no parking space, you get caught and you are fined or punished immediately. While some Kriyamana karma bear fruits in the current life, others are stored for enjoying in future births. Thus, the Kriyamana karma is classified into 2 subcategories: Arabdha karma, literally begun, undertaken, or the karma that is sprouting, and unarabdha karma, or not commenced / dormant, or the seed karma. An example: 2 persons commit a theft and one of them get caught, arabdha karma, and the other one got away, unarabdha karma. The thief who got caught immediately starts to feel the effect of the cause of the reaction to his action. He gets caught and goes to jail. The other robber who escaped will have to experience in this life or in a future one the effect of his wrongful action. Finally, we have Agami karma, or future karma. Agami karma is the karmic map that is coming as a result of the merits and demerits of the present actions of your current birth. In other words, it is a portion of the karma that is created because of the actions in the present life, and that will be added to your sanchita karma, or the accumulated karma. If you fail to work off your debt, then more debts are added to your sanchita karma, and they become more karmic seeds and are served to you in more future lives. So now let's move on to soul energy correction. In Vedantic literature, there is a beautiful analogy. The archer has already sent an arrow and it has left his hands. He cannot recall it. He is about to shoot another arrow. The bundle of arrows in the quiver on his back is the sanchita karma. The arrow he has shot is the pra-arabdha karma, and the arrow which he is about to shoot from his bow is kriya mana karma. The result of the arrow that he is about to shoot is the agami karma, or the future karma. Here is a modern example. You go on a motorbike ride and get into an accident. The accident is your pra-arabdha karma, your allotted karma for this life out of the entire sanchita karma of your soul. To bandage the wound in order to minimize your suffering would be your kriya mana karma, which is your instant karma. To set an intention to be more careful in the future would be your agami karma. To buy a bike light and reflectors in order to avoid future accidents would also be your kriya mana karma, or your current karma. Based on this description, it is generally thought that pra-arabdha karma is inevitable and should be suffered and endured. It has to be likened to an arrow which, once shot from the bow, cannot be taken back. The intention of this example is to really show how strong the prarabdha karma is. It does not mean that there is no remedy at all. An eminent warrior can neutralize the arrow with another arrow and can escape from being its target. Similarly, with the help of soul energy correction done through proper crystal energy fields under the guidance of higher cosmic light beings, one can overcome not only the effects of prarabdha karma and agami karma through kriya mana karma, but also nullify the sanchita karma itself, thereby avoiding further rebirths. So if you want to keep on reading about Crystal Karma Gate 24 or the Soul Energy Correction, you can click on the link here on crystalvastu.com, the 4 types of karma and soul energy correction. I'm not too sure about how true this crystal energy field is, and all of this, soul energy correction. I'm not sure how true it is, but I'm pretty sure that if we have karmic debt, if we have cosmic debt, then it is inevitable. We have to repay it in a very manual form. We can't nullify it with crystals. It doesn't make sense that we can nullify all of our past misdeeds or our past merits. We can't nullify all of them with just magic. It doesn't make much sense. If you do good, you will get good. If you do bad, you will get bad. Everything will come back to you. It is just inevitable. That being said, even though we do have to face the consequences of our actions, be it good or bad, it doesn't mean that we can't do anything about it. There are still measures that we can take to prevent or heal from the abuse. I call these karmic buffers. One of the practical ways we can reduce the impact of the karma that is coming back to us is by speaking up about the abuse to reclaim our power. We can also skillfully cope with or manage the narcissist by retaining a healthy mindset and never letting them change our beliefs. Never let your ego get the best of you. Remove them from your headspace. You can also take precaution, do your best to avoid the abuse, establish no contact, keep a distance, and develop complete emotional detachment from the abuser. However, there are certain things that are simply outside of our control. Sometimes we have no choice but to endure the hardship while holding firmly to our values and principles. All we can do is recover as fast as we can any injuries incurred and stay away from toxic, dangerous people. So that's all for today, and I hope you learned something useful. You can also join our exclusive recording session this Friday at our Patreon page. The link is in the description below. And if you become a patron, you can also join giveaway contests, get an ebook, and have more access to more exclusive videos. So I look forward to seeing you in the next episode. Stay mindful, peaceful, and powerful, and I'll see you next time. Bye.